Hey friends, it's Carly and I'm so happy to be back here at the Scrapbook.com channel. Today I want to share with you a trio of Halloween shaker cards using some of my favorite Scrapbook.com goodies. So when I make shaker cards, I like to start by making the shaker window panel first. And my absolute favorite paper to use for that is this mixed media cardstock from Scrapbook.com. It is just such a nice weight and I love the bright white color and it just works so well. So I'm going to use that along with this really adorable Sweet Boo stamp set, which I just love. And I'm going to plan out my layout of this shaker window. I know that I want to use the sentiment. I think it looks really cute with the circle window. They just complement each other so great because it has that curve. So I'm kind of planning it a little bit, and then I'm going to use some mint tape to stick down that circle die, send it through my die cut machine. Once I've run it through my die cut machine, I'm just going to carefully remove that mint tape, get that scrap piece out of the way, and then I want to add the sentiment on. So if you've seen any of my videos, you've probably seen this stamping trick that I use. I like to test my sentiments before I commit to stamping on my actual project. So I've got a piece of acetate that I keep in my MISTI, and I put that over my panel. Then I ink up the stamp and stamp onto the acetate, and that lets me check the spacing, the alignment, all that kind of good stuff, and make sure I really like how it's looking. Now, if I don't like how it looks, this gives me a chance to move it and try again. And if I am happy with how it looks, then I just clean off that acetate either with a baby wipe or a little alcohol swab, whatever is handy. And then I put that acetate back in my MISTI for the next time. And then after that, I just need to ink up my stamp again and stamp again onto my panel. Now this is an extra step, but I cannot tell you how many cards have been saved because the sentiment did not look good on the first try, and it was great to have that. For this particular stamp set, the Sweet Boo stamp set, the coordinating dies also have dies to cut out the sentiments, so that could be another solution for you if you are worried about making sure it's in exactly the right spot. You could stamp it on another piece of paper, die cut it with the coordinating die, and then just adhere it where you want it to be on this window panel. After I've got my sentiment all stamped and ready to go, then I like to add just a few little dots of faux splatter. So I usually grab a couple of different black pens that have different size tips and just kind of dot around in like a loose triangle kind of arrangement, just to give it a little more visual interest. I just love how the little dots look. It feels very handmade and painterly to me. So after this shaker window panel is done, I can put that aside, and now I'm going to work on the background for my shaker and the shaker container. Now, since that window goes off the edge, I'm going to need a shaker container that wraps around and has a little infinity edge. So I've got another piece of the white mixed media card, and then I've got some gorgeous pink from the Sunshine paper pad, and I'm just using a little bit of liquid glue to adhere that, and it's going to go right to the edge, and it's going to be the background for my whole shaker window. Now next I'm going to create a little pocket. So I have this piece of packaging. This is just from a stamp or a die. Who knows, I kind of collect them now. It would normally be crafty trash, but they are so useful. So I'm going to cut off the part with the top with the hang tab, and then the bottom where the adhesive strip is. I'm going to cut those pieces off, and then I'm going to gently tear it in half so that I have the front and the back. So I have two pieces of plastic now. And these are a great way to make a pocket. After setting one piece aside for a different project, I'm going to trim this one down a little bit so it fits easily on this panel that I'm making. And then I'm going to put some strong double-sided tape on all the edges. Now, I do love a liquid adhesive for a lot of my card making steps. Like, I love a glue. But I really recommend a dry adhesive like the double-sided tape for making these pockets because it is so much less messy, especially because a lot of the times the shaker bits you're putting in these pockets is like glitter or shimmer flakes, and so you don't want it to get stuck to any wet adhesive, and also you want it to be instantly ready to go, right? As you put this pocket together, you want it to be instantly ready for its shaker bits. So I'm just taking the liner paper off and sealing it so I have the three edges all ready to go. And I'm going to leave the top open so that we can fill this pocket. Okay, so to fill this pocket, these are my shaker bits. I'm using the Scrapbook.com shimmer flakes in the unicorn color, which, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. These are amazing. They are so gorgeous. I'm just going to kind of get my fingers in there to give the pocket a little bit of room, shake in the flakes. If they kind of get stuck in one spot, you can put your finger in there and kind of mix them around. You could grab a pair of tweezers and kind of move them around. This is a style of shaker card that isn't going to be as shaky It's not going to move as much as if you were using foam tape or some other kind of, 3D adhesive. This is going to be a little bit more subtle, and it's going to be a little bit more like having glitter paper in your background, but there is movement. It is still really fun, and look how that looks when it's in the window there. Now, I kind of love the card with just the circle window, but let's decorate it a little bit. So we've got the Scrapbook.com spider web, and I've die cut the web from the orange from that sunshine paper pad, and it just looks so fun to me. I love the combo of pink and orange all year round, but especially for Halloween, it makes me so ridiculously happy. Now I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue on this spider web to glue it right on top of that shaker pocket that we just made. Very awkwardly, I'm using the window panel to make sure I've got my spider web where I want it. And then after I've got it adhered to that pocket, I'm going to give it a little quick press under some acrylic blocks just to make sure that it's good and stuck down to the plastic. So after I've let that sit for a few minutes, I'm going to glue our window panel on top. So I'm using liquid glue just because I think it's so quick and easy, and also it gives you a little bit of wiggle room and a little bit of extra time to make sure everything is perfectly lined up after you put it down. And then the great thing about this mixed media cardstock that I use to make this window panel is that when I put it down, even though there's like the slight dimension from the web and from the pocket that we made, it's not going to show through. Like, you're not going to have a lot of like weird texture. Like, it's thick enough cardstock that it's going to handle it beautifully. So after I get it on there and all lined up, I'm going to give it another quick press under some acrylic blocks. And then I'm going to add this cutie patootie spider from the spiderweb set with a little bit of foam tape on there to give a little pop of black. And also, every spiderweb needs a spider. I mean, on cards, not in real life, thank you. But on Halloween cards, yes. And then the final step is this whole shaker window, shaker pocket combo that we've made. It just needs to be adhered to a folded card. So again, I'm going to grab some glue because it's nice and quick and easy, and it will give me time to make sure everything is perfectly lined up once I put them together. After it's all assembled, I'm going to find those acrylic blocks again. They're somewhere on my desk, and I'm going to give it another quick press to make sure it's all good and stuck together. And here is the finished card in good lighting. I love how it turned out. It's not too spooky, perfectly sweet, and so fun for Halloween. Now let's do a variation. Okay, so I'm using the same pink from that sunshine paper pad because I'm just obsessed with this color. I'm using the nested ghosts, and I'm going to use the ghost as the shaker window because I think it pairs perfectly with this little sentiment from the Sweet Boo set. So I'm going to kind of plan my layout again how I want it. Then I'm going to stick that ghosty down with some mint tape and send it through my die cut machine. And now we're going to speed up just a little bit so we can jump ahead and you can see the part of this card that's different. Okay, so again, once I've die cut my little ghosty shaker window there, I'm going to pop him in my MISTI. I'm going to put that acetate on top and test that sentiment stamp. I want to make sure I like how it looks where it is and that it's all aligned perfectly. After testing, I just clean that acetate off and get it out of the way, and then I can ink up the stamp again and stamp onto my actual project. By the way, if you don't have a stamp positioning tool like the MISTI, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's been such a huge game changer for me. I'm a terrible stamper anyway. As you can see, I need to have multiple chances to get it stamped solidly, and also just to be able to check things. So just a little PSA, cannot recommend it enough. After I've got the sentiment on there looking as black as I want it with as much coverage as I need, then I'm going to add those little painterly dots again because I cannot resist them. And then it's going to be time to create our shaker pocket. So this time I'm working directly on a folded card, and I'm actually using a piece of acetate just to show you that it doesn't always have to be crafty trash plastic. You could use some of Scrapbook.com's really great acetate, which I cut down so it will fit on the front of my card here. I've got the strong double-sided tape on the edges, and I'm going to secure it to my card with the top still open to be a pocket. I'm adding the shimmer flakes again as my shaker bits, and then I just need to seal that pocket. It's a little bit harder to get into the acetate pocket than the crafty trash. It's like a little bit less flexible, but tweezers make it happen easily. Then I just need to adhere the ghost shaker window panel on top. So again, I'm using liquid glue. It gives me time to line it up perfectly, and then I'm going to give it a press under some acrylic blocks. Now the final step is that ghosty needs a face, which the set of nested ghost shaker dies are, sorry, they're not shaker dies necessarily. They could be, they're great for shakers, but the nested ghost die set comes with sweet little faces, and it's super easy to use some liquid glue to adhere right on top of that acetate window. So this acetate pocket is a great variation on having a slim shaker. Here you can see the finished one in good lighting, but also you could have easily converted this to be like a foam container kind of shaker so that it had more dimension. Totally works both ways. So for my last card, I'm going to use the Scrapbook.com bats die set. The bat makes such a fun shaker window, and actually this is such a fun die set. I've used it in the past to make shaped cards, to make a Halloween banner. Like, it's just such a cool set. Same process where I kind of planned out what I wanted, used a little mint tape to secure it, ran it through my die cut machine, and now I have a bat shaker window, which actually divides my card panel into two. So I've got to hold on to both pieces till the end. This is another sentiment from the Sweet Boo stamp set, and I am going to do some multicolor stamping on this. And it's really super easy. You grab your mint tape and you use it as a physical mask on your actual stamp. So this technique really requires a stamp positioner because you need it to stamp in the exact same place each time. And then some really low tack tape that you can put directly on your stamp without damaging it. So highly recommend mint tape for this. So I'm covering up the words I don't want inked, and then I'm inking just the part that I want. So I've got spooky here that's going to be in pink. After I get it nice and inked up, then I just take off the tape, throw it in the trash because it's messy. If you're less messy than me, you could maybe save it for later. But take off that tape and then stamp down onto your panel. Now, I already tested this for spacing. I like how it's looking for spacing, so I was ready to commit. And you can see that I've just got spooky there in pink. Isn't that great? Okay, so after cleaning off my stamp, I am ready to mask the other words and continue with the stamping of the sentiment. Because of the way this one is stacked, I decided it was easier to do it in 3 steps. Even though step 2 and 3 are going to both be in black, it's just easier for me to mask off everything below it and then everything above it. But depends on your stamp set, right? Like, you might not need to do 3 steps. You might be able to just do 2. It's just how it works out for you and how you feel comfortable. So same thing, mint tape on the part I don't want inked, ink it up with my ink pad, take off the tape, and stamp it down onto my project. And if you don't get a good enough impression, no problem. You can just mask off again, ink up the stamp again, and do the whole process over again. So I'm a notoriously bad stamper. I never get enough ink coverage the first time. No problem. This is so easy to do multiple times. Thank goodness for mint tape. Thank goodness for a Misty. You can see I got a little ink there with my finger. Messy stamper, didn't I just say that? So I'm just using a little eraser to erase that ink off of it. And if that doesn't work, you can always grab a little bit of like white acrylic paint or a white gel pen and go over the smears later and cover them up. But also it feels like you're erasing them at the same time, right? So don't fret if you get ink smears on it. You can totally hide it later. Okay, masking the last part to stamp the last word, and sometimes it's easier to use different size pieces of tape so that you can put them at an angle or whatever and make sure you've gotten all the little bits covered that you don't want to ink. Sometimes if you accidentally mask something you didn't want masked, you can also go back in with a pen and kind of like add in little spots where you missed it if it's too hard to mask off and get it. So it's a very forgiving technique. Okay, so now we need to make a shaker window that we can glue those batty panels to, right? So I've got some of the mixed media cardstock in black because I love this black. I love the thickness. It's so great. I've got a wonky piece of plastic with the double-sided tape on it, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. And I need it to go over 2 different sides. So I need it to fold over 2 different sides to be infinity where those bat wings cut out, right? So I'm still creating a pocket, leaving it open on only one side, adding more of the shimmer flakes. Now I use the unicorn color again, and I think maybe I should have added some pink because of how the iridescent turns really like blue and green on the black, but that's okay. It's okay. I can add pink next time. You can see that I'm folding in the corners a little bit to make sure it's really secure in there. And not the cleanest folding job I've ever done, but it's okay. It still works, and it's still going to be a really slim shaker card that's really easy to mail. Now I'm going to use liquid glue on those batty panels to adhere them on top of that shaker pocket, and of course with a quick press with the acrylic blocks just to make sure everything is good and stuck down. And oh my gosh, here's how it turned out in good lighting. I love this card so much. I actually love all of these cards so much, and I hope you guys do too. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. It was so fun to share these shakers with you. I hope you are leaving feeling inspired, and I hope you get to go craft something. Have a great day and happy crafting.